These aren't just green machines. These are the iron legends that broke ground before sunrise, ran until after sunset, and never once asked for a break. John Deere built tractors that farmers didn't just use, they trusted with their entire livelihood. Some ran for 30 straight years. Some started wars between neighbors over which model was better. Some changed American agriculture permanently. These 10 didn't just earn respect, they demanded it. And every farmer within earshot knew exactly why. Number 1. John Deere Model D. Every list about John Deere greatness has to begin here. Because without the Model D, there is no John Deere tractor story to tell. Introduced on March 1, 1923, the Model D was the first tractor built, marketed, and named John Deere. It replaced the Waterloo Boy, which John Deere had inherited when it purchased the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company in 1918 for $2.1 million. Before the Model D, John Deere was selling someone else's tractor. With the Model D, John Deere began building its own legacy, literally from the ground up. The machine went through 5 full years of design and development, plus 2 seasons of field testing on actual farms near Waterloo, Iowa, before it was released to the public at a price of $1,000, roughly equivalent to about $16,500 in today's money. That careful development process showed in the result. The earliest Model D tractors were powered by a 465 cubic inch 2-cylinder horizontal engine rated at 15 horsepower at the drawbar and 27 horsepower at the belt pulley, running at 800 RPM. The early spoker versions, built from 1923 to 1926, featured a flywheel with spokes like a wagon wheel. When it became apparent that a spinning spoked flywheel presented a genuine hazard to anyone working nearby, the design was changed to a solid flywheel in The engine grew over the years. A 501 cubic inch version replaced the original 465 cubic inch unit in 1927, and by 1946, the displacement had settled at 465 cubic inches again with significantly improved output. In 1935, a 3-speed transmission replaced the original 2-speed unit. Throughout its production life, the Model D was continuously refined and upgraded, always with the same fundamental character, a simple, strong 2-cylinder machine that a farmer could understand, maintain, and depend upon without a team of engineers present. The Model D ran from 1923 until July 3, 1953, a production life of 30 years and 4 months. That is the longest production run of any 2-cylinder John Deere tractor ever built, and by the time the last one rolled out of the Waterloo factory, approximately 160,000 had been produced across all variations. From the Smithsonian Institution, which holds a donated Model D, to barn museums across the American Midwest, the Model D is preserved with the same reverence normally reserved for pieces of national history, because that is exactly what it is. Number 2. John Deere Model A. If the Model D was John Deere's foundation, the Model A was its revolution. Introduced in April 1934, the Model A achieved something that no tractor manufacturer had accomplished before. It gave farmers a row crop machine with a fully adjustable rear wheel tread. Prior to the Model A, tractors had fixed tread widths of 40 to 42 inches, the same width as a horse. Farmers had no choice but to design their row spacing around the machine's limitations. The Model A turned that logic upside down. On the Model A, the rear wheels could be slid in or out on splined axles, permitting wheel spacing anywhere from 56 to 84 inches. For the first time, a tractor could be configured to match the row spacing the farmer chose, rather than dictating it. That sounds like a small thing. For a farmer raising corn, cotton, or soybeans, where the spacing between rows directly affected how efficiently cultivation equipment could work, it was transformative. The Model A was also the first production John Deere tractor with a one-piece transmission case, which simplified the drivetrain and improved structural rigidity. It ran on a 2-cylinder side-by-side engine of 309 cubic inches, later increased to 321 cubic inches in 1940 for additional power. The transmission started with 4 forward speeds and was upgraded to 6 speeds in The styling era of the Model A began in 1938, when industrial designer Henry Dreyfuss was brought in to give John Deere's tractors a more modern, streamlined appearance. The styled Model A, with its clean hood lines, enclosed grille, and updated instrument panel, became one of the most visually recognizable agricultural machines in American history. Electric starting arrived as an option beginning in 1947, along with seat redesigns that began to acknowledge that operators spent long hours on these machines. By the time production ended in 1952, approximately 300,000 Model A tractors had been built in their various configurations: standard, row crop, orchard, high crop, industrial, and wide front versions. No single tractor before it had been offered in so many application-specific variants for general farm use. The Model A spawned the entire letter series that followed: the B, the G, the H, the M, and others. Each one was, in some essential way, descended from the principles the A established. Number 3. John Deere Model B. Within a year of introducing the Model A, John Deere recognized that not every farmer needed that much tractor. Smaller operations, smaller fields, smaller budgets. These farmers needed something lighter, less expensive, and easier to manage. In 1935, John Deere answered with the Model B. The Model B was a scaled-down, less expensive version of the Model A. It was a two-plow row crop tractor, meaning it could pull a two-bottom plow, and it weighed approximately 3,175 pounds in its standard form. The engine was a two-cylinder unit producing around 16 horsepower at the belt, which was exactly the right amount of power for the farms the B was designed to serve. What made the Model B truly special was not what it could do on its best day, but what it did on every ordinary day. The B was the tractor that plowed the kitchen garden, cultivated the corn rows, ran the belt-driven equipment in the barn, pulled hay wagons during harvest, and did the dozen other jobs that kept a mid-size family farm functioning. It was not glamorous. It was essential. Like the Model A, the B received the Dreyfus styling treatment from 1938 onward, and the succession of unstyled, wartime-styled, and late-styled versions reflects the same decade of refinement that the A went through. The orchard version, the BO, was shielded with smooth sheet metal to protect trees and crops in tight orchard rows. The BR was a standard tread version for non-row crop applications. The BR was an industrial version painted yellow. There was even a crawler version, the BOL, produced from 1943 to 1946, which ran on tracks rather than wheels. The Model B was produced from 1935 to 1952, and its successors, the 50, the 520, and the 530, continued the same basic mission through 1960. Hundreds of thousands of these tractors were built. Millions of American acres were worked by them. And on any given summer afternoon in the 1940s, if you drove through the farming states of the Midwest, you would have seen more Model B tractors in the fields than anything else John Deere or most competitors had ever put on the market. That is the quiet power of a tractor that knows exactly what it is and does it perfectly, every single time. Number 4. John Deere Model G. While the A and the B took care of most row crop farmers, there was a segment of American agriculture that needed something more. Farmers with larger operations, heavier soil, and the ambition to push more acreage per day than a two-plow tractor could manage. For them, John Deere built the Model G. Introduced in 1937, the same year as John Deere's centennial, the Model G was the largest and most powerful row crop tractor in the company's lineup at the time of its release. It was designed as a three-plow machine, meaning it could pull a three-bottom moldboard plow through reasonably firm soil at productive working speeds. The engine was a two-cylinder all-fuel unit with 412.5 cubic inches of displacement, originally rated at 20.7 horsepower at the drawbar and 31.44 horsepower at the belt. Over the course of its production life through 1953, with the successor models 70, 720, and 730, carrying the mission forward to 1961. In the United States, the Model G and its descendants became progressively more capable. The diesel version of the 720, introduced in 1956, produced 65 horsepower from the gasoline engine variant and was the most powerful row crop tractor John Deere had offered up to that point in time. The early unstyled Model G tractors had a notable engineering issue. The original small radiator on the first units caused overheating problems. John Deere addressed this by switching to a larger radiator beginning with serial number 4251, and the company went back and changed the radiators on tractors already in the field. It was the kind of honest acknowledgement of a problem and genuine fix that earned farmers long-term trust. John Deere stood behind what it sold. An important detail about every Model G ever built, from the factory, Not a single one ran on pure gasoline. All Model Gs came with all-fuel engines. Engines designed to start on gasoline and transition to cheaper kerosene or distillate fuel once warmed up. Conversion kits were available to run exclusively on gasoline, which raised the belt horsepower to around 50, but from the factory, the G was an all-fuel machine, and that economy of operation was a major selling point for Depression-era and wartime farmers watching every penny. Approximately 64,000 Model G tractors were produced across all variants. Respected is not a strong enough word for how farmers who owned one regarded this machine. They depended on it for their income. That is the deepest kind of respect there is. Number 5. John Deere Model R. In 1949, John Deere did something it had been planning and developing for more than 10 years. It built its first diesel tractor. The Model R was the result, and it was unlike anything the company had produced before. The R was a large, heavy, standard tread machine. It weighed 7,603 pounds, making it significantly heavier than any of the row-crop letter series tractors that had come before. It was not a row-crop machine. It had fixed wheel widths and was designed primarily for wheatland farming on large, flat acreages where raw power and fuel efficiency mattered more than row-crop adaptability. The engine was a 415.5 cubic inch two-cylinder diesel, John Deere's first production diesel power plant. It produced 43.15 horsepower at the drawbar and 48.58 horsepower at the belt, which made it the most powerful and most fuel-efficient tractor Deere had ever manufactured at the time. It was priced at approximately $3,700 at launch, a serious investment but the Model R had a starting challenge unique to its design. Diesel engines of that era were notoriously difficult to cold start without assistance, particularly in the cold winters of the northern grain states. John Deere's engineering solution was elegant. The R featured a second, separate engine specifically for starting. This pony engine was a small two-cylinder gasoline unit that started on electric power, warmed up the primary diesel engine through a shared cooling system connection, and then engaged via a clutch to turn the main diesel over once it was warm enough to fire. The operator pulled a lever rather than turning a flywheel by hand. The Model R also introduced another first for John Deere, the live power takeoff. A live PTO had its own clutch, independent of the main tractor clutch, which meant an operator could stop forward motion of the tractor while keeping the PTO and any implement attached to it running continuously. For operations like mowing or harvesting where stopping the implement mid-cycle caused problems, the live PTO was a genuine operational advantage. Only 21 12-ounce Model R tractors were built before it was replaced by the John Deere 80 in 1955 with substantially increased power. But those 21 12-ounce 93 tractors changed what John Deere farmers expected from a tractor forever: diesel power, starting innovation, and the live PTO. The Model R introduced all three in one machine. Number 6. John Deere 40110. On August 30, 1960, something remarkable happened in Dallas, Texas. John Deere had flown approximately 5,670 dealers and 1,000 guests into the city. They were gathered at the Dallas Memorial Auditorium for what they had been told would be an important product announcement. When the curtain came up, what they saw caused immediate, genuine shock. John Deere had abandoned the two-cylinder engine entirely. The new generation of power, unveiled that day in what became known as Deere Day in Dallas, consisted of 4 brand new models: the 1010, 2010, 3010, and 4010, all powered by modern 4- and 6-cylinder engines. The entire industry, including John Deere's own dealers, had been kept in the dark. Engineers working on the project had been relocated to a separate leased building away from the main factory in Waterloo. Test tractors were painted red and styled to look like competitor machines to avoid detection. The secrecy held completely. The 40110 was the star of the show. Powered by a 6-cylinder engine rated at 80 horsepower, which tested at 84 horsepower during Nebraska field trials. It was one of the most powerful two-wheel drive farm tractors available at that moment. More importantly, it came with engineering that the old two-cylinder line had never offered: a significantly better horsepower-to-weight ratio, advanced hydraulics, a more comfortable and convenient operator station, and the synchro-range transmission with 8 forward speeds and 3 reverse speeds that could be shifted on the go. The festivities that evening in Dallas included a Texas barbecue, a fireworks display, and entertainment by Al Hirt and his New Orleans band. John Deere's sixth president, William Hewitt, presided over the proceedings. A 17-page advertisement in the October 1960 issue of Farm Journal announced the new lineup to the broader American farming public. Of the 10 series tractors introduced that year, the $4 the most popular by a commanding margin. More than 58,000 units were sold between 1960. The basic row crop model was priced just above $4,000. The diesel version was the farmer's choice, and it earned every dollar of the respect it commanded. The $4 110 had done what the two-cylinder engines, for all their beloved qualities, simply could not. It catapulted John Deere into direct, credible competition with the most modern tractor technology in the world. Number 7. John Deere Forte 20. If you were to ask the average American farmer of the 1960s and early 1970s to name the best tractor ever built from any manufacturer at any point in history, a very large number of them would say the John Deere Forte 20 without hesitation. Over 184,000 of them were produced between 1963 and 1972. It was, without debate, the most popular tractor of its era, and many historians and industry analysts consider it the most popular tractor in United States history. The Ford replaced the Ford 110 and improved upon it in substantive ways. The diesel version produced 84 horsepower at the drawbar and 91 horsepower at the PTO, a meaningful step up. The rear axles were made heavier. A differential lock was added. The hydraulic system was a closed-center design. The engine was a 6-cylinder unit with fuel choices that included diesel, gasoline, and LPG. Farmers who had built their operations around a particular fuel type were not forced to change. But the feature that made the Forte 20 truly legendary among operators was the optional power shift transmission. This was a transmission that allowed movement between gears without using the clutch. 8 forward speeds, 4 reverse. The operator could shift under load while moving without breaking the power flow. For a row crop farmer making frequent headland turns, for a farmer pulling a loaded wagon up a slope, for anyone who had spent years clutching and shifting through a day's work, the power shift changed the experience of operating a tractor at a fundamental level. The Forte 20 also introduced the option of an enclosed cab with heat and air conditioning. Still not standard, still an added cost, but available. Farmers who could afford it discovered that an 8 or 10-hour day in a climate-controlled cab was a different physical experience from an 8 or 10-hour day in an open station, and the cab slowly began its transition from luxury to expectation. The 420 was produced at factories in Waterloo, Iowa, and Mexico. Diesel engines accounted for 91% of total production. American farmers had made their preference for diesel power unmistakably clear. The 420 was succeeded in 1972 by the Forte 230 in John Deere's Generation 2 series, but the Forte 20 never really left. It is still working on farms today. It is still being restored, bought, sold, and trusted. There has never been a John Deere quite like it. Number 8. John Deere 80110, 8020 on August 30, 1960. The same day the new generation tractors were unveiled in Dallas, John Deere quietly had another machine in its lineup that got almost no attention in the excitement. And that machine was one of the most remarkable tractors the company ever built. The John Deere 8110 was introduced in 1959 and was John Deere's first ever four-wheel drive tractor. It was a monster by any standard of the era. 215 horsepower from a Detroit diesel 671E 6-cylinder engine with 425 cubic inches of displacement. Four-wheel drive with articulated power steering, a fuel tank that held 106 gallons, an operating weight of approximately 19,700 pounds. It was nearly 20 feet long. Only 100 units of the 8110 were built, and almost immediately, John Deere discovered that the transmission in the 8110 had serious problems under the stresses that 215 horsepower and full four-wheel drive imposed on it. Rather than leaving farmers with machines they had paid serious money for, John Deere took action. They brought 85 of the 100 units back to the factory and rebuilt them with improved transmissions, designating the rebuilt machines as the 8. At least one original 8110 is known to survive. What happened to the remaining 14 unrebuilt machines is not definitively documented. The 8020 was produced from 1961 to 1964, with just 85 total units in existence. The machine stood 99 inches tall, 96 inches wide, and 238 inches long. It used pneumatic drum brakes. The operator sat in an open station with no cab, looking out over an articulated chassis that bent in the middle for steering. In prairie conditions, flat, open ground with large implements, the 8020 could do the work of several conventional tractors. The 810 Slouch is remarkable, not just for what the machine was, but for what John Deere did when it failed. They called it back. They fixed it. They returned it to customers in improved condition. That response, more than the horsepower or the four-wheel drive or any other specification, is why farmers respected John Deere. Number 9. John Deere 730. There are farmers alive today who will tell you, without any trace of irony, that the John Deere 730 was the finest tractor John Deere ever built. They might be right. The 730 was produced from 1958 to 1961, the final generation of John Deere's legendary two-cylinder line, which had defined the brand for nearly 4 decades. By 1958, the two-cylinder engine had been developed, refined, improved, and optimized to a degree of near perfection. Everything John Deere had learned since the Model D of 1923 was expressed in the 730. The gasoline version of the 730 ran a 360 cubic inch, two-cylinder engine at 1,025 RPM, producing 53.05 horsepower at the drawbar and 59.12 horsepower at the belt. The diesel version ran a 376 cubic inch engine, producing 53.7 horsepower at the drawbar and 58.8 horsepower at the belt. Modern styling, improved safety features, and refined operational ergonomics made the 730 the most comfortable and operator-friendly two-cylinder John Deere ever produced. Front-end configurations for the row crop model included double front wheels, Roll-O-Matic, both regular and heavy-duty versions, single front wheel, adjustable wide front, and fixed tread wide front, more choices than almost any competitor offered. The standard tread model could be equipped with a fully enclosed all-steel cab, making cold and wet weather operation dramatically more bearable. The diesel version also retained the characteristic pony motor starting system used since the Model R, though electric start was increasingly available. What makes the 730 emotionally significant beyond its specifications is timing. This was the last generation. Farmers who owned a 730 in 1961 knew they were holding something that was ending. The new generation 4- and 6-cylinder tractors had already been announced. The two-cylinder era was closing, and yet the 730, practical, reliable, with its distinctive exhaust note that had earned two-cylinder John Deere's the nickname Johnny Poppers, kept working, kept pulling, kept earning the same trust the D had earned in 1920. The 730 is still being restored today with particular devotion, because for many farmers and their children, the two-cylinder sound is not just mechanical, it is the sound of their childhood, their heritage, and their family's history. Number 10. John Deere 444 Sand. The final tractor on this list represents a different era than most of what came before it, but it earned its place on the list of respected John Deere machines just as completely as the Model D earned its place at the top. The John Deere 4440 was part of the Iron Horses series, introduced in 1977 with production running from 1978 to 1982 at the Waterloo, Iowa factory. The name Iron Horses was not marketing language, it was a description of what John Deere engineers had done. Learning from feedback on the Generation 2 30 series tractors that preceded the Iron Horses, they strengthened numerous parts and components throughout the machine, upgraded the cooling system, radiator and fans to address overheating concerns, and improved the hydraulic lift capacity that had drawn criticism on the 4430. The 4440 was powered by a 7.6-liter 466 cubic inch 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine producing 130 horsepower at the PTO. Two transmission choices were offered, a 16-speed quad-range partial power shift or an 8-speed full power shift. Hydraulic wet disc brakes, full-power hydrostatic steering, a pedal-actuated hydraulic differential lock, a fuel tank holding 64.7 gallons. The Sound God cab, John Deere's enclosed climate-controlled operator environment, was standard on the 4440, and it was the most refined version of that cab produced to that point. To make it quieter, John Deere engineers added more lead septum, foam, fiberglass, and padded upholstery compared to the previous generation cab. The optional personal posture seat could be upgraded further with a hydraulically cushioned suspension for $334, offering the operator a choice between a soft or hard ride quality. For long days covering large acreages, that level of operator consideration translated directly into less physical fatigue and more productive hours per day. The 4440 was also available in a high crop version with raised axles for tall crop clearance and in optional 40WD configuration. The 130 horsepower power class of the 4440 placed it in the exact range that large-scale American row crop farmers needed most in the late 1970s and early 1980s, big enough to run large implements at productive speeds, manageable enough to work in fields and feedlots without feeling like an oversized machine in an undersized space. The Ford 4 holds its value remarkably well on the used tractor market even today, more than 4 decades after production ended. It is sought after at auctions. It is maintained carefully by farmers who know what they have. Some are still working, not as museum pieces, but as actual farm machines doing actual farm work. That is the clearest definition of respect that exists in agriculture, a machine still earning its keep decades after the factory stopped making it. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.